Hello everyone, this is the May Artsnacks box, and we'll jump right into it and find out what we're getting this month. It feels pretty heavy to start with, so let's see. We have a Faber Castell water brush, which I have already received somewhere, I forgot where, but you know, you can never have too many water brushes, I guess, or I can give it to someone. This is a medium. The people have mixed feelings about this brush. I liked it once I figured out how to use it, because I think the water flow is not quite the same as the Kuretake brush, or even the Pentel brush. I think you have to regularly squeeze this, if I remember correctly. I haven't used mine in quite a while, but it seems like it's a small one. Let me see if I can find the other one that I have. Here we go. No, it's the same size. I thought it was smaller for some reason. Alrighty, and then we have, hey, we've had those before with Artsnacks as well, the art spray. I'm pretty sure I got a pink one. See? Artsnacks, why are you sending the same thing you've already sent before? That said, I had a lot of fun using it, and I'm glad it's not the same color I had before. Oh, this is nice. Stillman and Byrne, they make really good paper. I've got a few of their sketchbooks and I really like them. The Nova series is fairly new. It's a series of colored paper, so they do have the beige or kind of craft paper. It's like a tone tan, a tone gray, and then a black. And I don't know if I've tried both of them, but I have the gray and I have the black, and they're really cool. So it looks like we have a sample of each color, which is pretty neat. Alrighty, we've got a cool flowery sticker this month. Sweet tarts. And more to come. Let's see. Spectra marker. I already have a bunch of those from boxes. I don't know if I've had one from this box or if it was from Scroll Box. And, ooh, I've never tried those before. I've heard of them. Gelattos. So the Gelattos, I think they're kind of like oil pastels, but not quite the same, but I think they kind of act the same. Something like that. Looks like lipstick. Yeah, I kind of feel like that, so I don't know if they're water soluble. I'm gonna have to try all of these and see how I can play with these guys. So I've got 2 greens, 1 red, and a tan, or yeah, a tan. Oh, this, by the way, has a chisel point and a brush point. Let's see if I can find the ones I have. Well, I found this one at least, so anyway, I'm gonna check where I get that one from. So the marker is just an alcohol-based marker, nothing special. The chisel tip is what is called a tri-nib, where you can get thick, thin, and medium lines just by twisting your wrist. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of chiseled on both sides. Now the art spray is fun. Like I said, I've had one before, and it's kind of messy though. If you spray it from far away, you get the splatters. If you spray it from very close, you get more like a big splash, and it makes your page really wet, so it's gonna undulate. So be aware of that. Now the water brush, what's so special about it is that the cap can be used to scrape paint off the paper or spread it, so maybe you can draw grass or something like that. And you can use it to spread the paint from the art spray, but you gotta do it before it's dry, because once it's dry, it's permanent, it won't move. So the water brush, I still like it very much. I think compared to the other brushes, what people don't like is that if you squeeze it a little bit, a lot of water come out of it. And so you really have to have a very light touch if you need to squeeze it. But I like that I think it's one of the brushes that really truly flows constantly without really having to squeeze it. Which is nice, although sometimes it's nice to have a drier tip or drier bristles, and it's pretty much impossible with this brush because it's always wet, but I think it's a nice brush. Now for the gelatos, I tried different ways to use it. I thought they were going to be more pigmented because they are basically pigment sticks, but when I tried to take the pigment straight from the gelatos with a brush, it's kind of faint. I'm not quite sure, so maybe it's supposed to be like that. Maybe some other colors are more pigmented, I'm not sure. You can also just put it straight on the paper. It's just like an oil pastel, and you can just smudge it with your finger, and then when you actually use it on paper with water, you will see usually the marks that the gelatos made on the paper. You can't dilute them 100%. Another thing I tried to do was to cut a little piece of it in the palette and mix it with water, but it didn't dissolve, and I ended up with tiny little particles of it on the paper when I tried to apply it on the paper. So I don't know, not very fond of those gelatos, because yes, you can do a lot of things with them, but they don't seem to work very well unless they're old, which could be it, because it seems like the packaging is the old type of packaging. So if those are old and they're not as buttery and creamy as they're supposed to be, that would explain why I was not able to dilute them very well. Now for the challenge, I decided to paint on all three papers. I didn't want to work just on one strip because it's just not very practical. I didn't really know what to paint. The gelatos are pretty thick, so painting something really small on just a bookmark size paper, I didn't find it very convenient. So I glued them all side by side in my sketchbook. I didn't really know what to do with the art press, so I used it for the background. I made a big mess because I ended up having some on my desk, of course, but that I had already planned. I already knew it was going to happen. But I also put some of the green on the chin and the cheek of the girl I was painting, and I couldn't remove it because it dried pretty quick, and like I said, it's permanent once dry. I used the black paper for just the side of the hair, because when I tested black paper with all the supplies, nothing shows on it except the dry gelatos. Even when I add water to them, they kind of fade into the blackness of the paper, so nothing really works on that. The green is very faint on it, so I only wanted to put the red on it, so that's why I put it in that area in particular. And then I used my weird mixes that didn't really quite melt, And I noticed that those two colors, that red and that green, they actually make a pretty nice skin tone. So I mixed them and I use that for the skin. Then to add the shadows, I used the marker because it's a tan one, so I thought it would be great. But later on, I started using a mix of the art spray that I had made a bottle of in my palette, and I mixed it with the red gelato to try to get the darker shade of that green so that I could darken the eyebrows and all the darker areas. So it was a very messy for me. It was a very messy challenge. I didn't really like the gelatos. Before I started the challenge, I looked for lots of videos to show me what to use them for and how to use them. And most of the people who actually use them, they use them for craft projects like stamping or making cards or things like that, so using them for backgrounds. I haven't really seen anybody using them much for actual fine art pieces. And it's fine, you know, it's great to have supplies that people love to make craft, because I think this is pretty good quality. It's supposed to be light, fast, and but I don't know if mine didn't work very well or if it's just the way they work. Now I checked for the marker and it did come from an Artsnacks box. It came from the June 2016 box, and then the spray came from the, I believe, October-November 2016. So I found that very disappointing that Artsnacks is sending two supplies that they have already sent, and to me it kind of reminds me of the Scroller box. The reason why I stopped subscribing, one of the many reasons, is that they started sending duplicates of what they've already sent, and I don't think it's very cool of Artsnacks to do that, because their faithful subscribers who have been receiving their boxes for several years, for me it's been 3 years already, I don't think it's really cool to receive the same supplies. It's not anything new, anything that you're discovering. It's something you've tried before in the exact same box. In that regard, this box was a disappointment for me because two items were repeats. The brush, I already had the brush, but it came in a Scroller box, so that's no big deal. It's bound to happen. And the gelatos, didn't work for me. I didn't like them. Again, that's not Artsnacks' fault. That's my personal preference. So that's it for this month's Artsnacks. Thank you all for stopping by. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.